We span everything, all different dimensions, everywhere. So there's kind of one whole big part of us, and then we're projected, our consciousness, if you like, you can think of it as being projected into all these different places, times, people, and they are all affecting us in some way because we are part of that same whole. And so that just blows everything wide open, doesn't it? And I think sometimes it can get a little bit scary and overwhelming, because then you're like, I don't even know what to do with that, which is absolutely fine. And you shouldn't, unless you feel called to it, you shouldn't even entertain that.
This is the Born to be Brilliant podcast, helping you harness the habits and unlock the tools to bring you more meaning, vibrance, and the personal power to help you shine like the diamond you are. So the first time she was on the show, that was when we first met. Since then, I've even worked with Tash, and so she's worked her magic on me. This is our reunion, and we're going to go one step deeper. So Tash, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm not sure where the conversation's going, but I know it's going to be juicy.
I know. I love that. And I love that. I think it's just that whole thing of the best conversations you just don't really plan, do you? They just come out as they need to, trusting in the universe like you do. I feel like that when I speak as well. I'm like, I don't necessarily need to know everything I'm going to say. I just know that the right words are going to come to my mouth when I need them.
I work the same way, because if I have like a structure, then I'm overthinking it, and then I get overwhelmed. I'm like, I don't know what I'm saying. Whereas if I just go, my best place is when I go into something having no idea what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to be asked about, and then I know it's just going to flow, and it's going to come from kind of like here rather than up in the head.
And then you've worried, because otherwise you worry about making mistakes. I think sometimes I just need a little checklist of, I just need to cover these things, but otherwise too prescribed. And actually, this wasn't on my list of things to cover, but I actually think this can be one of the dangers of AI. You know, I'm a big fan of AI and how we can use it for leverage, and I think there's lots of positives as well, but I think one of the dangers can be if we let it take over too much of our creativity, and then it becomes not you, not your words, not your essence, and it becomes a bit prescribed and soulless. And I think that's where it's really important not to, I guess, rely too heavily on AI with content. But that's that whole topic in itself.
I do agree with you. I think the same. You know, like I will use AI with the hypnotherapy, but only as a kind of like a framework to work off of. I always kind of work, and I think it's really helpful to do this is to see things external to you as an inspiration to you, for you to kind of bounce off on and work with, because then you know that you're not kind of just taking it and copying it, but you're using it to bring it through your own creativity, like you were saying. And I think that's the best way to use AI.
Definitely. And I think also, as time goes by as well, you see like people who are super successful, like, big entrepreneurial success stories. And a lot of their success comes from the grit and the pain and the struggle and the reinvention and it comes from all of that. And actually, if teenagers are building businesses in 5 minutes in their bedroom using AI and realizing the same results, because results AI can get you, right? Face it, you can go, boom, result done. But the journey, the process is what makes the person the success and the growth. How do we even make sure that they get that if we can kids can make a CGI quality incredible movie in an afternoon, I think.
I know, it's true.
There's no the struggle is part of the journey of growth, right?
Yeah, it is. And I do think it comes back to creativity, because I think that's where our magic is, and that's where our soul comes through. Like in our imagination, I work with as a hypnotherapist and working with the subconscious mind, I'm working with the imagination, and I've seen it, and I know that that's where our genius comes from. That's where, if we want to dive into it straight away, but that's where I think like we're channeling that kind of unseen intelligence, or the unseen higher part of us that has all the wisdom and the knowledge and the gifts that we're here to share. And if you just completely rely on AI, you're not bringing that through. And I think that our imaginations, that part of us, can atrophy just like a muscle. If you don't use it, if you don't go to the gym, the muscle's going to atrophy. And that's what happens with our imagination. And then, quite honestly, that's what's happened to all of us from children to adults. That's the problem. We haven't used our imagination because of the programming and the conditioning that says, come on, grow up, you can't live in that dream world. And it's like literally killing our soul's essence. So part of what I'm trying to do is bring that imagination, that childlike wonder, back to adults so that they can access their like soul gifts and their soul wisdom.
I love that. And that really resonates, because being a creator and a dreamer, and I think when you are that way inclined, I feel like there must be a soul connection with that, like more so than super analytical. I don't know. I think people who have forgotten to dream, for some reason, I'm picturing some suited banker in a grey suit that goes to a 9-to-5 job in an office in a high-rise building every day, that, you know, once was, this is probably I think there's depictions of this in one of the Peter Pan movies, but, you know, where like once they dreamed, they had imagination, and they were creative, and now they're like, it's this mundane thing, and they lost that inner child and that adventure and spirit. And I think there's so much truth in that. And I think we almost, like, as not just a society but as humanity, I feel like we've like not lost it, but that's been really dampened. And you know, in a lot of cases, there's still a few of us sparking around going, I'm still dreaming.
Exactly. But, you know, again, even the dreamers like you and like you experienced, you still have that programming. You still have a certain amount of beliefs that have been programmed within you that is stifling that imagination 100%. And that ability to just be able to go, this is me, this is who I am, I'm going to shine, and I don't care who knows it.
And that's, I think, so like that comes up all the time. And I you know, don't proclaim to have overcome all of that. I think, you know, I said at the beginning, I did some work with you since we last went on a podcast, and it's life transformative and eye-opening. But for me, it wasn't like a and as you know, it wasn't like I have this thing and I want to fix it. And sometimes I think of things, I go, ooh, I wonder if we, you know, Tash could help me fix that one. But it wasn't like that. I didn't have a thing and go, let's see if we can fix this or undo this belief or whatever. And I know a lot of people think or go to hypnotherapists traditionally for that kind of thing. Like, can you help me with this thing? For me, it was never like that. I just, again, felt this almost like calling, this pull, like, hey, I don't know what we're going to do, but I've just got this sense that if we do something, we dig in, we're going to find some stuff, and it's going to be really helpful to do that. So let's just play with that. And I love the fact that it was, again, unplanned. It had no kind of objective outcome or anything. And, you know, in delving in, we found things we didn't know were there, didn't particularly know we were even looking for. And you can then see how they have been playing out in various scenarios throughout life. And how my point being is, and they still do, like, I'll spot things and go, I know what that is, and I know why I'm responding that way. And which actually leads me nicely onto how deep we can go, because there's our own subconscious, but then there's ancestral, and how far back can that go, and through space and time. Like, tell me some stuff about that, because I just find it all so fascinating, and everything is possible, right?
Yes, and that's so funny that you bring that up, because we haven't spoken about this before, but literally last week on our podcast, we did an episode about exactly what you've just said. So it's really fresh in my mind. And yes, I mean, just like you said, it can go back. The programming isn't just in this life, you know, I do past life regressions as well. So I've seen how trauma, programming, patterns, conditioning, all the things, that beliefs, they are passed through from other lifetimes. And you've got no conscious awareness of that unless you do something like a past life regression. You've got no idea that things from previous lifetimes, whether you believe we have previous lifetimes or not, are still kind of running the show. But then, like you said, it's not just past lifetimes. You can really zoom out and you can say, you know, like, we're multidimensional. There is no time. Everything's happening all at once. So, you know, there could be a part of you that's living on another planet, in another dimension, in a parallel dimension, that if you think about, you know, when we say multidimensional, what does that even mean? Well, we span everything, all different dimensions, everywhere. So there's kind of one whole big part of us, and then we're projected, our consciousness, if you like, you can think of it as being projected into all these different places, times, people, and they are all affecting us in some way because we are part of that same whole. And so that just blows everything wide open, doesn't it? And I think sometimes it can get a little bit scary and overwhelming, because then you're like, oh, well, I don't even know what to do with that, which is absolutely fine. And you shouldn't, you know, unless you feel called to it, you shouldn't even entertain that. But ancestral healing, I find really interesting, and I'm kind of just digging into it a little bit more. And I don't know loads about it. I'm kind of going with it from what I've learned in my experience with working with people and the work that I do with myself. But, you know, when you think about it, there's two types of ancestral healing, because you can think about the ancestral healing in terms of genetically. So, you know, your mum, your grandmother, your great grandmother, all of that down the genetic line. So you're going to have programming passed down from that because of their experiences. So their experiences are held within their DNA, it's stored within their DNA. There's been studies that have proven that. They've done studies on mice where they basically took some mice and they scared them with a loud noise or something whilst there was cherry blossoms around them. And so they associated fear with cherry blossoms. So these mice became terrified of a cherry blossom when they saw it. But what they found, and what's really interesting, is that they then bred those mice, and generations after, so lots of generations after, those mice who never had the experience of the cherry blossom and the sound were still scared of the cherry blossom. And so it shows that it's passed down through your genes, and you're dealing with that now.
It must, like, even in simple terms, if, you know, just thinking about the things that we are as human beings naturally scared of, like if you saw a, I don't know, saber-toothed tiger coming towards you, you would be scared. Like, not because of stories we've been told, but because we're conditioned within our nervous systems, right? And somewhere in our inner wiring. Like, I think it's really interesting, even just just one step back and just thinking like what our own mothers, birth mothers, have gone through or experienced, and how that can be coming through in some way. And it might not be the same way. Like it could be, you know, a fear or something that happened to them that you didn't even know about. And for some reason, there's a similar thread going on for you. And actually nothing ever happened to you, but you felt that energy in them before you were even conceived, let alone the things that you may have experienced in obviously conscious living. I do find the whole healing process like so powerful, and I think a lot of people think of healing, I used to think of healing as like you've got to find that there's a pain and you need to heal it, like you need to fix, like a wound, it's a wound and it's not healed yet, so we need to go and put something on it and make it all better. And I don't see it that way anymore, because I think healing can be, well, like we've just been saying, it can be ancestral, it can be about conditioning, it can be about belief system, it can be about triggers that create a response in us that we have no idea is coming from something. I think of healing more actually like empowering, like what's this area that is disempowered that can be switched to being empowered, because there's just so it's just so deep, you can go so back so far, can't you?
And it can be really overwhelming, like I said before. And I think that's a great way of seeing healing, because there is a problem when we start going down the healing route, is that you can get stuck in this cycle of perpetual healing. And I've seen it in myself. Fortunately, I caught it really quickly, but I could see how toxic it could be, because I'm always looking for the next thing that's wrong with me. You know, I'm doing this, or now I realize I'm doing that. So there must be something wrong, and I need to find it and I need to heal it. And that is, you're effectively coming from a state of I am broken. And that isn't the belief that you want to have. It's definitely not a belief conducive to healing and empowerment and moving forward. So I totally agree with you. I think we have to reframe this perspective. I don't necessarily even like to use the word healing, because I do think it has that kind of connotation to it. If you're healing, something's wrong, something's broken. I like to see let's use healing for lack of a better word, people understand what it means, but I like to see healing as a remembering. And I think I've told you this before. That's how I see everything. Like when you think of your healing journey as a remembering journey, a remembering of who you are, which is perfect, like light, incredible, connected to this loving intelligence, however you want to see the soul. It's more about then just peeling the layers that have been put on you rather than fixing something that's inherently wrong with you. And that's really empowering, and it's going to help you in your healing journey, because then it starts taking away the pressure that you put on yourself. And and all that pressure doesn't help you when you're trying to find out these things, because like you said, it's over time, and it's never a one and done fix. You can work on it, but then you're going to reach another layer and another layer, and I believe we're never going to be able to say that's it, we're totally
done.
No, I don't. But then that's part of the journey. That's part of why we're here. So then when you understand that, and this is what I like to do, because when you start putting in empowering beliefs, they lead on to another empowering belief and another one. And so after that, when you see that, you can think, well, if the healing is never done, but actually I'm not broken and I'm just remembering who I am, and I'm going to be doing this until I die and leave this earth, I may as well have fun while I'm doing it.
Exactly. I love that. I love that you've associated it with fun. And I think I find it fun. And I know also, like you mentioned on our last podcast as well, that you were originally an atheist, and then you had, an event in life, and that changed how you looked at things quite quickly. And I've definitely felt this weird shift in me. And I don't know if some people get this around midlife even, and some people, it can be a jerk through grief and loss. Others, it can be time in life. I don't know, all kinds of reasons. Who knows? But I feel that I was never a sort of atheist in beliefs. I'm married to one, but so I was always like, no, because I've always held on to this. So I was raised Catholic, and for a period of time in my childhood went to church and things like that. And it never really, I never really felt connected there. I just kind of felt it was boring. It was all a bit jargony. I just nothing felt connected at all. And so I think I went through my 20s and so on, started like with a sort of a sense of that I didn't feel like a specific or organized religion was a resonating thing for me. I've full respect to anybody who has their own beliefs, but just wasn't for me. But I also didn't feel like there was nothing. And I've always been very, I think deep down, very spiritual, but could never have labeled it that before, because that would have sounded too woo-woo to me back then. But I always have felt like there's no way on this teeny tiny speck of a planet whizzing through super space that, now that we've got telescopic visuals on this stuff that we're actually getting to see, how minuscule even our galaxy is. And there's no possible way that the brain inside this little human head here can possibly know all the answers. And so just because we can't know the answer or prove something as fact doesn't mean it isn't. And so it's like, and I've always felt like that, but I probably couldn't have articulated that in the past. Which has left me with this big curiosity of possibility. And so as much as something can't be proven true, quite often it can't be proven false either. And yet more and more, we're learning more and more through science now that it's actually, I would say, raising more question marks than it is, shutting the door on things. So I love and actually feel a deep sense of peace around the concept of possibility. And I think, so when it comes back to like we were saying about healing and empowerment, it is fun. For me, it's so fun to go, well, if you can dig in and find a place in your history where you suddenly closed off your sense of feeling because that was dangerous, and then that's caused you to do X, Y, and Z, and naturally that's putting a limitation on your success, your output, and your experience of life. And we can actually go back and reprogram that and I guess to some extent fix that, alter the course of that, the trajectory of that, to heighten your experience of life right now in the present. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, why wouldn't anyone want to do that? Like that to me, just I'm like, yeah, well I'm always thinking, right, let's see what's underneath this thing then, or this blocker that keeps coming up, or this thing that keeps popping up for me, like, why? Let's find where it is and annihilate that one.
Yeah, and I think that, everything you've just said, I think if you can have that kind of perspective, it's only going to enhance your healing journey. Because the more open you can be to the possibilities, the more you're going to expand your consciousness and be able to see the possibilities that you wouldn't see if you were keeping it to, I live in this, little world, and there's nothing else, and da 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 da. Like, for example, for me, in terms of business, so like you can link this to, if you're trying to do better in business, certain things you just wouldn't think of if you're not thinking outside of the box here. But I was kind of led through a series of, like we say, because it is just a journey, and it's always stepping stones, and I just pay attention to what resonates with me. And because I'm open to anything being possible, I'm noticing more things, I'm paying attention to them, and I've developed the ability to be able to listen and trust my intuition. And so if it's saying to me, this seems important, I'll look at it. And so I was, trying to do some work around visibility in my business, and like, why can't I get out there? Why aren't I just pushing myself forward? I know I'm capable, all the things. And then I was led to, my ancestry. So my dad's Iranian. I'm half Iranian. And it was like I was led to my ancestry of what the women on that side of my, family line, how they were treated and how they were brought up because of the country, because of the area that they lived in. And I was obviously aware I had a certain amount of that programming because I have a dad who has that kind of programming as well. But I never even thought about my family, my ancestors, because I didn't know them. I never really met any of them because they were all in Iran, and I never met. So I didn't know them, didn't know anything about them. My dad didn't really speak about them, so I didn't know anything. And I ended up doing this kind of meditation. I just thought, I'm just gonna have a look. I'm just gonna see, be curious. Like he said, I ended up doing this whole meditation where I was crying because I realized they were really suppressed. Like, females were suppressed and they were allowed to. I was stuck in this kind of perpetual thing of it's okay to learn. I'll learn and learn and learn. But then when it actually comes to putting it into practice, I'm like, oh no, what can I do? Procrastinate. I'll do something else. I won't do it. And in this meditation, I just saw that it was because it's okay to be intelligent in that culture. It's good to be intelligent. They push you to be intelligent, but then don't go too high. Don't just will keep you down just a little bit because you can't surpass the men. Like, it's not okay. And there was so much in it, not just about my business, but about the way I am in like my relationship and all sorts. I learned so much from just doing that meditation because I was open to exploring something about my ancestors. Now, listen, I don't know that that's the truth. I don't know that's what really happened to the women in my ancestral line, but does it matter? No, because I got clarity from it. I could understand that could potentially be running as a program that I'm not even aware of consciously because it hasn't actually happened to me, but now I can do something about it. So then I made a hypnosis for myself, rewiring all those beliefs, letting my subconscious let go of that programming. You don't live in there anymore. You are living in a country where you aren't having to do that. Everybody's saying, go for it, Tash. You don't have to suppress yourself anymore. Go out there and shine. And it really, really helped in my business and in other areas of my life as well. But yeah, it's just sometimes it's nice to have a tangible example of how it can actually work for you. And like I said, I really had no conscious awareness, and it never came into my mind, or I never entertained it before because I didn't know them.
Yeah, I think I definitely, that really resonates with me as well. I definitely see how these things that we don't realize why we do them. And I bet lots of people listening are thinking that too. I think a really common one is in fact, yours just is very similar, and so I have had a similar thing, and I'm sure lots of people do, about being seen and being visible in a world where now you don't have to be invited onto TV or radio or whatever or on a billboard. We can all be as seen as we want with the technology we've got in our hands, and yet quite often there are fears around that which can end up being detrimental to people's success in business. And I see this with people I coach, where I see the ones who do go for it absolutely have a higher revenue level than the ones who hold back. And you can tell people as much as you like that the metrics are, more visibility, more leads, more contacts, more conversations, more conversions, more clients. It's all just more, right? And the numbers don't lie. And I look at KPIs and metrics on this regularly, and I can literally see 100% definite pattern with that. The ones that have lower revenue don't have it starts at that visibility end. And I think it's a massive, wide, common problem, particularly for women, and I'm sure for lots of men too, but I think it can sometimes be for different reasons. And I'm not going to make a sweeping statement here, but I think that sometimes it can be more about perhaps lack of skill rather than fear of actually doing it. Whereas I think for a lot of us women, we're like, we can do that, but I'm too scared to, or I'm too scared to actually put that thing out there because of, and then there's all the things about that coming back. And how dare we?
Exactly. And and then that can lead on to, it's when I said that there was kind of two kinds of ancestral. So you've got that ancestral genetics, but then you've got the ancestral past lives, if you like. So you can think, if you think of, who knows how many hundreds of lives, thousands of lives we've lived. If you've been in a cycle where you've continuously, been a woman, because we've all been everything as far as I've seen and experienced, we've all been all of the things. But it does tend to be that we keep coming back and repeating lives because we haven't quite learned the lesson yet, which is why it's so important to look at your past lives in this life now, because this could be another one of those lives that you keep on repeating. There's something there that you haven't quite got. So if you've got a continuous repetition of being this woman who is disempowered, and she's had her voice stifled, she's been scared to speak because she's been persecuted, you were talking about like the witch wounds, if you've been burnt at the stake as a witch for being a witch, but it's a healer, isn't it? Or it's a woman that spoke up for herself. Clever, like anything that didn't fit in with you need to stay down here and the men are up here. Like how many lives have you lived that? You've got that within you as well, whether you know it or not. And the sooner you can almost accept that that's a possibility, and you don't have to know what all those lives are. You really don't. Sometimes it's really helpful to go and have a past life regression because you get so much more out of it, but only if you feel called. But you don't have to. Just be aware of the possibility that you have a lot of lives where you were persecuted for being a woman. You're storing that in your body, you're storing it in your subconscious, in your psyche, and it is still affecting your behaviors in ways you cannot even imagine right now. So go and do whatever kind of process resonates with you, whether that's a meditation, journaling, a visualization, going to someone who can facilitate some kind of journey for you, whatever that looks like. But acknowledge that and do the work around it, just like I did with the ancestral healing, and you'll be surprised that you might just end up bursting out crying. You might have an overwhelming sense of sadness. There might be thoughts that drop into your mind. It can come in all kinds of ways. And the more open you are, like you were saying how you see the world, the more you're going to open yourself up to get those answers that you're going to have no idea you even needed, but they're going to be exactly what you needed in that moment to get that clarity about yourself.
And who even cares if you can back them up or not? Do you know what I mean? Who even, the point is if you do something and as a result you feel better, perform better, show up better, live better, and have a better experience of life, what does it even matter? Like where it came from and whether you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. I feel like that about past life stuff. I feel like I don't need to have decided and confirmed in what I believe about it in order to actually experience it and check out what comes through. And actually, I'd almost say, you've almost got to do it before you can even pass judgment on that. And at the end of that, you might go, wow, that was interesting, or whatever, but no bad can come of it. It can't undo or break you. It can only enhance you. I think it is really fascinating, and I think that there's got to be connections because we hold stuff in our bodies And we know, and it's proven and scientific, that we hold trauma in our bodies. Like, that's no secret. That's not up for debate. But
No.
you see people who, I've had a few stories actually of people who have had something happen to them, or a pain and or somewhere in their body that comes about at a particular time in the calendar, or within a particular connection to something that happened to them in the past. And I think there's no doubt that our body like knows more than, well, the rest of our body knows more than just what's in our brain. Like, so much is going on that we can't even perceive in our heads, in our minds. I want to talk a little bit about soul. And it's a word that I've been really enjoying using lately, because I feel like soul, spirit, whatever it is, it's something, it's our energy. It's something that we have that isn't, you know, in our biological anatomy, that you can't particularly put your finger on, but it's us, right? It's our essence. And I think my belief is that the more open we are to things, the more in tune with that part of us we become. Intuition, those sort of senses of things. But so I found myself recently doing something, and I thought, and I just almost had a penny drop moment, right? And I was like, I really want to know, like, say, I described it like this. Like, I described it like, imagine you're walking along, you've got two paths. They branch off like a fork in the road, and there's two paths. And I'm there going, right, okay, I need to know which one to take, because I don't want to take the wrong one and then go, oh, damn, what a waste of time, energy, effort, whatever. So I'm paralysed at the fork, doing nothing because I'm not sure which one to take. And that doesn't work for me. I'm like, I need to be moving forward. So if I just straddle both and maybe carve out a path in the middle, at least I could be moving forward. And I'm kind of, you know, like when you straddle two queues, which queue's going to move the fastest? It's like, if I can just hedge my bets here for a minute until it becomes clear. And I had this thought, and I was like, inside I'm going, which one is the right one? Like, what's my soul's purpose? If, you know, if I could get a sign right now that could go, it's this or it's this. And I was almost feeling like stuck with this. And suddenly, out of nowhere, it was almost like something whispering in my ear going, it doesn't matter. It's absolutely irrelevant as long as you are being you. And it was like, oh, wait, it doesn't matter which thing it is, as long as you are being you. It could be either, it could be both, it could be none.
Exactly.
As long as you, and I don't even honestly really know what I mean when I say that, because I didn't think it kind of some things come in rather than thought process. And that's when I know that's the voice. That's I don't want to sound too out there now, because people that know me would be like, what? Where is this coming from? But I'm like, honestly, actually, I don't care what people think. Honestly, it's what I would almost describe as the unseen world, what I don't know, forces we have no control over, energies that exist that we can't explain. People go coincidence or whatever. I'm like, is there? Again, does it matter if it's given you something?
Exactly. I think that, oh God, I could just go on about this. I really could. But I just think that when you experience that, like you said, when it just drops in and you didn't think it just came in, and it's like you can feel it in your body, it just feels right. That's the only way I can say. Like, that's how I know that's my intuition talking. And that intuition, when we say intuition, I believe that is that connection to, like you said, we as humans love labels, and we have to use language, don't we? We have to use words, but words have such meaning, like they have such like heavy weights to them, don't they? And so you could say one thing and that would trigger someone else, and you could say another thing and they wouldn't like that word. It's like God, that's real weighty, isn't it? It's got lots of stuff around it. But so I really think, like, you can use whatever words you like, it doesn't matter. And some people come from a science perspective, some people come from the more woo-woo like side of things. But the more I look at this now and I try and zoom out as much as I can out of perspective, everybody's saying the same thing. They're using different words, but they're saying and they're describing the same thing. And like you said, it gets to the point where you have to just trust there's things out there that you can't see, that you don't know there's going on. We all accept that Wi-Fi works and is a thing. We know that, we don't deny that it's real, but we can't see it, but yet we know it's there. So if that can be something, why can there not be other energies and other frequencies around that are helping us? And when I first started this, because like you mentioned before, I was not this way inclined at all. I was very scientific minded, but when I began to just be open to the fact, and I really did have to ease myself in, and I wanted the proof, I wanted the science behind it, but I noticed that as soon as I opened myself up to even believing that it was a possibility, these things, like you said, the coincidences or synchronicities, they were actually leading me somewhere. I was paying attention. A coincidence I think you could say it's a coincidence if you're not being aware, if you're not paying attention. So then it becomes a coincidence. But as soon as you become aware and you use it as a map, it's a synchronicity. And I promise you, I've like a scientist or a researcher, I've experimented with this, and I cannot deny what I see right in front of me. And that is every time I followed the synchronicities, they have taken me to another level of whatever that is: success in my business, happiness in my life, breaking patterns, healing, just joy, and just having fun in life. It's only ever been a good thing. And I'm fully able to say I don't know if it's real or not, but I don't care, because it's done nothing but great things for me. And that's why I would love for everybody to just at least be open. I don't mind if people believe or not, and I don't care what people think of me for my beliefs, because I know I was a disbeliever back then, so I appreciate it. I get it. And everyone's on their own path, and everyone will awaken, if you like, for lack of a better word, in their own time, or they won't, and that's fine, because we'll be back again and you can do it again. It doesn't matter. But like you said, to just go back to your path analogy, I was really hoping that you were going to say it doesn't matter, because yes, like that, I totally agree. It doesn't matter as long as you're doing what feels right through your intuition to you. You cannot go wrong. And when you start working on these beliefs that whatever you do, what you want is always going to come to you, everything's always working out for you. If you trust what feels good to you and have fun in the moment, know that you're on the right path. Life becomes so much easier to live.
I love that. I think that I personally don't like that sense of stuckness, and I work with lots of people and help lots of people get unstuck. So I'm a bit of a problem solver. So being a problem solver by nature sometimes makes me look at something and go, I have to figure this out, as in I need to just figure out the answer. I need to get the solution, and then I can act upon it. And if I feel stuck for the answer, I'll sort of hang around in a space of working it out, like literally like a maths equation that I'm like, haven't got it yet, hang on, I'm still going, and like working it out. It's like, that's, I guess, intellectualizing it and letting go of that. That's something I struggle with. I can help other people do it, but doing it yourself. And that's the thing where I think it is a huge amount of trust. And I think it's tested even more so when, I describe those two paths. And if anyone resonates with that and they're looking down, two paths, and it's like, if one path feels like it's scary, or say even they're bridges and you're going to literally cut one off and you can't get it back. It's like, oh, that's a big leap. But rationally or on paper, you might go, well, that's too risky. It's too scary. What if and what if and what if? But I do think that if deep down, again, without any intellectual thinking, but if there's something just saying to you, do it. Like, it's because there's something better waiting for you behind door number 2. And it's funny, isn't it? Like how I do sometimes get stuck like that and go, like, I want the answer. I want to know. Like,
we all
sure
do.
We all do. Yeah.
We all do.
But the things that I find uncanny, okay, so we're talking about it's what you choose to see. I've seen this whole month, all I've seen is double numbers everywhere, and not because I'm looking for them, but it's like, oh, I didn't know why I looked over there, but it was there, and I keep seeing them, and there's been a bit of, my son and I have been having a bit of a laugh about it, because he's now spotting them and showing me, and now it's just become a bit of a joke. But for a while I was like, well, wait, if this is some kind of sign or signal, what could it be? And then it makes you think. And I just think that's it. And it doesn't have to be anything. But the fact you've gone, something's saying, yeah, on the right track. Keep going. Like
that's how I
something's,
see it.
you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't matter if it gives you that little bit of comfort, of reassurance, or whatever it might be. I wonder though, and this is where I'm not expecting you to be able to answer this, but I wonder about having your soul's calling. So if I've always felt like I came here for a reason, and I probably can't even now tell you exactly what that reason is. Actually, you probably could. I think you see it. You already know what my reason is. And I suppose I probably do. It's probably just like one word. But I've always felt like that since I was a child. And it was like I forgot. But I know as a kid, I was like, I feel different. I don't necessarily feel like I fit in. I feel like there's a purpose. I don't know. I sometimes see and approach things maybe a bit differently. But at this point in my life, there are things I feel incredibly drawn to, but that I've never been into. Like, and I'll just tell you them. Like, they are more and more like being in nature. And I'm allergic to like bugs and stuff, so that's not normal for me to be like, I'm like, I want to touch a tree. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like that? But like being in nature and breathing in nature, I'm currently looking for the ideal yoga session because I want to go to it. People that know me know that I work out almost daily at home and I'm really disciplined with it and it suits me and I don't need to go to it. This is something I want to go to. I want to go and immerse myself in an atmosphere and a room and an energy, but I'm looking for something more meditative, not just down dog. So I feel really, really drawn to that. And just, breathing generally massively is pulling me. And people, there are certain people like you, other people that I've, again, not even known I've been put in the room with. I haven't even known and gone, whoa, hang on, how did this, I didn't choose this. I didn't actually choose to come here. I just felt like I ought to. And then this happens and it's like, ooh. And it feels like it's almost, it's like ramping up. Like over the last 11 or 12 months, really, it's just felt like it's like ramping up. And it's like, well, where's that coming from? And what I'm really curious about is it a case of like it's just time, or is it like, I don't know, is it midlife and hormone shifts, and is it like, you're nothing special, everyone go see that? I'm like, I don't know, but are we all here for one particular purpose, or is it ever changing and evolving?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good question. And obviously, like you said, I can't say, well, this is what it definitely is. But from my perspective, my opinion, from the work that I kind of do, I like to think that we've all come in with our particular soul gifts and abilities. And we chose them. We chose them for a reason because of what we wanted to do in this life, what we wanted to learn. But also, I do think that we've all come here to help because that's who we are. Like we are connected. We know we're connected and we want to help others. We just forget sometimes when we get down here. It's a bit messy down here, isn't it? But so how I see, the kind of the soul purpose at the moment, because again, I'm not scared to change and evolve. I know the beliefs that I hold now might not be the beliefs I hold in 3 months time, 6 months time, a year's time. And I like that. I like I'm trying as much now as I can is to allow my beliefs to be fluid, because the more fluid they are, the more open you are and the more you're going to like expand. But what I do think in terms of the soul's purpose and is that, like I said, you've come here with a particular set of abilities. You've come here with an agenda and maybe like a final destination as such, as like an overarching mission. But how you get there is completely up to you. So it's like you could ride your bike for a little bit and then you could walk a little bit and then you could catch a ferry and a plane. And it doesn't matter what order you do that and how you do it and which way you get there. That's part of the journey of life. That's your free will as a soul. But there are particular things that we want to learn. There are particular skills that we have and gifts that we have to share. And it's getting in touch with, like you're doing, like you're saying now, I'm being drawn to do this, or I'm feeling like I want to do this, or my intuition's telling me this. That's your soul talking to you and nudging you. And if you follow them, always remembering to do it through joy and never through resistance, then you you are on your right path, and it might be wiggly and squiggly and you might go up and down. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It doesn't matter. You're always going to get to your final destination. And so I do personally believe that we have all come here with a mission. I see certain people that I tend to work with believe this, that so the women that I attract, because I feel the same way, you know, that I've told you that the women that like I'm attracted to me do feel like they have a mission or a purpose, a deeper purpose, and it's usually to help other people in some kind of way by using their voice and their skills in different ways. But that's who I tend to see. So I do think that some people maybe have a bigger, deeper, stronger purpose than others, because that's what you chose in this lifetime. I mean, we could go on and I don't want to, because otherwise we'll go off on a tangent, but I believe that this time on Earth right now was really, really important. And I believe there's like a really, really big shift. And I think a lot of people have come in and chose to come in at this particular time to really shift the Earth into like a different vibration. And I think that the people that are listening to this right now, you are the ones that think, I'm just here for a bigger reason. I know, and you felt like that since a kid, but you don't know what it is. That's totally okay. But trust that you are here for a bigger reason, because when you trust that, you'll start taking steps to action it. And never ever think that it has to be, you have to be famous and talking to millions of people around the world, and you need to, it might just be that you have to just be you and smile at that person in the shop and be the person that cheers everyone up, that lights up a room. And that is enough as the person that stands on stage, you know, someone like Tony Robbins or someone like that, who's like, you know, touching loads of people all over the world. It's all the same and it's all good enough. So follow, like, you know, my biggest advice, I think, is just follow what lights you up, follow your joy, and know that you'll be stepping into your soul gifts along the way.
I was literally thinking this morning. That's like a goosebumpy moment, because I was literally thinking, like, who says it has to be, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers, big stages, spotlight stuff? It doesn't. And then there's like, it could be, but it doesn't have to be. And actually, you know, you could be very quietly sprinkling your magic into the world, and it will be every bit as fulfilling, every bit of a joyful existence, and abundance will come your way, and it will all just be great. And it doesn't have to be. And like I've said to you before, I use the analogy, like, not everyone's a front man, and it may be that you are a front man, or it may be that you're a supporter of a front man, but you're on the same mission, or you know, or even the people listening to this that maybe in a corporate environment that are considering entrepreneurship because they're excited by this. If they're still listening to this podcast now, then they're definitely open-minded, and I love that. But you know, you don't have to have it all figured out, the whole path. I also think you can't, I wrote down, can't quantify it. You can't necessarily put your finger on why these things sometimes you're called to, and it could be different to what you think. So I had one of these where I felt like I really needed to go to a particular event, and I thought it was for one reason, but it may not have been. I don't know. I was attracted to it, and I could have talked myself out of it. It was, you know, there were logistics to figure out with kids and arrangements. There was the price and the ticket and the accommodation, and just it wasn't easy, and it would have been very easy to go, oh no, it's too hard. I'm not going to go. Luckily for me, I have a very supportive husband who just went, oh my God, that's really good value, you should go. And yeah, I've got this. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Could the universe be laying out the path any more easily? So I took myself off there. And what I found there was beyond what I went for. And it's like, wait, and it's still rippling through now. And I'm like, wow, okay. So this is where I think we can't make decisions on the actions we take. We can't have all the T's crossed and I's dotted and the answers before we take the leap, can we? And I think that's the bottom line with everything. It's like, sometimes you just got to go with it. And if it's good, it's good. And if it isn't, you learn from it, dust yourself off and make a different decision.
Exactly. I think the key word is inspired action, because we are always in our left brain, aren't we? When we think we have to take action. Actually, it's inspired action. So pay attention to the signs, follow your soul's like little nudges and calls and pulls. And then when the time is right, just like you with that event, that's when you say, now I have to step into action. This is the action I need to take. And quite often that's the time when you're going to come up against the struggles, because all your fears and your limiting beliefs are going to come up. And that's the work. That's where you have to say, do I really want to do this, or do I not want to do this? Because sometimes it just might not be right for you. But if you feel like, no, I really feel like I need to be doing this, then that's where you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you have to question those beliefs. You have to do different things, talk to yourself in different ways to make yourself do that. Because like you said, that's how you progress. That's how you step onto your soul's path. Because otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to be fine and you'll learn some lessons along the way, but you're not fulfilling your true potential and you're not living your soul's true desire. Because I think that when we're following our intuition and when we're doing the things that we've came here to do, that's where our biggest joy is. That's where our fulfillment is. Yeah. So why would you live a mediocre life? It's comfortable being in that little comfort zone, but actually it's really not, is it? And once you push yourself out and learn that it's tough to push yourself out of the comfort zone, but there's such great rewards afterwards, it becomes a little bit addictive. And then you start noticing the synchronicities and you get in this little flow, and then you're just, you feel comfortable to not have to push and grind. Like coming back to what you said at the very beginning of the episode, you don't live that way anymore. You take the inspired action when you feel called, and life's just better that way. It's easier.
It really is. It really is. And I think we can sometimes get stuck as well in the grind because of almost a sunk cost bias of like, I've put all these years into this, I've put all this time, or this money, this energy, whatever it might be, whether it's work, relationships, hobbies, I don't know, whatever it might be. And to divert or take a different path feels like, you know, you're sticking to it because of those reasons, not because it's what feels aligned. And I think the word aligned can get thrown around a lot nowadays, but I know 100% when I don't feel aligned, I'll be like, oh, I feel icky. And it's like, something's not the way I put this for people are like, what's she talking about? The way I'm showing up in the world day to day, be that with my family, my kids, people around me, work, like the activities I do in my work, whatever it is, if it doesn't feel aligned with my values, what I really feel is my purpose, and everyone knows what theirs is, that's fine. But like, if it doesn't feel like it's stacking up to that, okay, you know, for a few hours or a day or whatever, sometimes you have to do stuff you don't want to do. Like, I get that. But all over a period of time, if you're like, and it feels heavy, then like, and like, why would we want to trudge in that way year after year after year? And I think we get these little nudges. Sometimes it's with a health thing, but we'll get little nudges to go, really? Is this you? Who are you showing up as 100% you? And I think when I know that when I am, like, when it's all lined up nicely, I am that person who I walk into the shop and I'm literally lighting the person up there just because of an interaction, and it's flowing constantly. Even like you're walking past a complete stranger, that's when I know I'm 100% in my proper energy, and it's not masked or squashed by stuff that piles on top of it. So yeah, I think being able to breathe and listen to that and let it come in and to make those shifts is brave, but so worth it.
Yeah, so worth it. And it doesn't come overnight. You have to keep practicing, you have to keep trying. But like you said there, when when everything flows, that's it. That's the word. When things, if you can experience just once, you won't forget it. When you're on your soul's path, I believe, when you're on your soul's path and you're doing everything's in alignment, things are just easy.
It's so easy.
It flows. You're like, why did that person just contact me? Because that's exactly who I needed at exactly that time. And then it's like you bounce from stepping stone to stepping stone, and it's just being placed in front of your path. And that is how life gets to be. We've programmed that life is hard, life is a struggle. It doesn't have to be. But when you come up, so you have that flow, that alignment. Alternatively, when you come up against obstacle after obstacle, and you just hear yourself saying, why does it have to be so hard? that is the universe or your higher self, or whatever word you want to use, telling you are out of alignment. Stop this.
Yeah.
Just stop a second, because it doesn't have to be hard. Now, I'm not saying you won't get where you need to go. You can trudge through treacle and you will still get there, but why would you want to do that if it can be easy? And that's such a huge belief shift that I like to work with everyone I work with, that life gets to be easy. Because when you can truly believe that, that's how you see the world. And then your subconscious actively tries to make everything as easy as possible. And it is just about recognizing, oh, it's feeling there's resistance there again. Everything's hard, pull back. And it's about feeling safe to that's a whole big thing as well. Just feeling safe to not be taking action, feeling safe to be still and be quiet and just let answers come to you, rather than trying to problem solve and think it through your mind. And if you can give yourself that little bit of time, that sense of safety, things will start popping in, and then those stepping stones will appear again. And that's when you start, drifting through again with flow.
And that doesn't mean that we don't sometimes have to overcome hard things. But I think that it's all part of the path, isn't it? So I think that, I look back over my career, for instance, there's the time in my life when I was on the stage and I was performing and singing, and I've still got a big passion for that. And I believe that had a part and has played a part, and actually kind of still does, which, and all the things I've done have been almost like a training ground, like little bits of, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like initiation, like getting you ready for, making sure, can you handle this? Can you do this? Well, how about this? What about this? And it's like all there to help you learn and grow, which is what I was saying about the importance of self-growth, to then be able to, when you're ready in your wisdom years, like fully be everything you need to be. But my brain's going faster than I can say it. I believe that all those things are there for us and lining stuff up for us. But I think one of the things that helps me go, what if, am I right then? Is my soul's purpose and my calling? Again, actually, don't intellectualize it. You can already feel it inside of you. And actually, it's that thing that has always been there. It was there when you were a little girl. It's shown up at several little intervals here and there. It keeps popping up and you're like, oh yeah, that's it. And it's that interaction with that stranger walking down the road. It's that, it pops up in those moments, not when you're, trying to figure it out or ask for a sign. It's like, it comes when it hits, and you can't choose when that is.
And it doesn't happen all the time. You're not going to get those hits all the time. So stop expecting it. Be okay with just being still for a little while. But like you said, I just think that everything is an initiation for where you're right now. Wherever you are now, you're in an initiation for something else. Your whole life is a training ground, and you have to go through this, like a computer game, isn't it? You have to go through the levels to level up. You have to complete the boss level to be able to go on to the next level. That is what life constantly is. So always if you can tell yourself like one thing, always tell yourself, I'm exactly where I need to be. No matter what's going on, whether it's good or whether it's bad, in inverted commas bad, you are always exactly where you need to be. And know that whatever you're going through now, even if you're in that kind of out of alignment, resistance, sticky phase, is all teaching you something, and it's all preparing you for something greater, and you will be grateful for it on the other side. So remind yourself of that when you're stuck in that place, because everything's happening for a reason and nothing's ever wrong. You can't do this wrong.
It's a good feeling actually when you can take that moment and go, okay, yep, I know on the other side of this sticky feeling is something better. So all right, I can ride this out. But I think that awareness that you and I like that, and a lot of people won't be. So I really hope that this is enlightening for people who might be like, oh, okay, it's okay to feel like this right now. And actually just don't try and fix it. Just sit with it. Just ride it out with the little inner knowing that everything's always moving. That's one thing that's for sure. Nothing will stay the same. So it's going to change, and it will become clear the less, I think, the more we can loosen our grip and less we force things, the more they start to unfold.
Absolutely. Let go. If you feel like you're holding on so tight that your hands are really red, just let go and know that when you let go, everything will work out for the best for you. And also remember, when you're on your deathbed, and I've had lots of people in past lives on their deathbeds, nobody ever says, I wish I worked harder. I wish I had all those followers, you know, I wish I'd done, they say, I wish I had spent more time enjoying life. I wish I had laughed more. I wish I had spent more time with my family. So get back in the present moment and enjoy the things that are all around you, because when you can do that, it doesn't matter what happens with you in life, you're still always going to have that sense of happiness, because that's what really matters.
All in the present, isn't it? It's all in the present.
Yeah.
Oh, a lovely note to wrap up on. Honestly, I love our conversations. I love that we don't know where we're going to go and we let it flow and without any force or preconceived plan. It's an absolute pleasure, as always, chatting to you. Thanks for coming on the podcast again.
Thank you so much. I love it. It's brilliant. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure it won't be the last either. No. So if anyone wants to tap into the world of Natasha Braniff and her incredible empowerment-based, I say, hypnotherapy, the links and all the ways you can find Natasha are in the show notes. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hope you've enjoyed this episode.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, go out there and shine your light bright, because you were born to be brilliant.